chapter we are going to start today, that is data structures in Python. Now first of all, data structures means different way of organizing memory and then doing different operations on that memory, right? So different techniques or different ways of representing your memory and then performing some operations on it, right? Then what all data structures Python has given, or the standard data structures which we are going to cover, that I'm going to list out. So we'll be covering with first list, then tuple, then set, then dictionary, and then we will be focusing on strings in detail over here. String as a data type we have seen in chapter 1. Now in detail about string methods, then string built-in functions, and then at the end, when very important topic we will be learning, which is associated with string only, that is regular expression. Regular expression is very much needed in case of file automation and all. So Python data structures, as I said, data structures means it's a different way of organizing your memory and then performing different operations on it. Okay, so in that we will be covering the first one, that is list. Okay, list in simple terms you can remember like it is a sequence of elements, or it's just a collection of elements. Now that elements need not be of same type. That is the difference between a list and an array. Like arrays you might have studied in other programming language. Okay, so arrays are collection of homogeneous value. List not necessarily homogeneous, it is just collection of elements, and as it's a ordered collection of element, later you can access them on the basis of index. You can mention index and then you can access the elements based on that index. Okay, so you can say it's a mutable collection. Mutable meaning you can modify it, means you can add insert elements in it, you can append element. Okay, you can delete some elements, so you can make changes in that list. That's the reason it is mutable. And collection means it's a group of objects. Okay, and all those objects you can access on the basis of index. It is ordered. Then next we are going to see, that is tuple. Tuple is same, it is also an ordered collection of element. Here also you can access element on the basis of index. Only one difference is there, it is immutable. Immutable means you cannot modify once the tuple is created, means you cannot add elements in it, you cannot insert or you cannot append or you cannot delete elements from that tuple. The tuple is immutable, but the basic feature of both is same, कि both are collection of objects, both are ordered collection, both as they are ordered can be accessed on the basis of index. That is common. Only the difference is tuple is immutable and whereas list is mutable. Then we'll be learning about set. Set is a collection but unpredictable. Like we don't know in which order the elements will get saved. Now you may say why? So internally it uses hash table for storing, whereas here they store, example like arrays and all. Like internally the organization is in a sequential way, whereas here it is key to address mapping. That is your element to address mapping by some mathematical function. So internally it uses hash table and the organization in the hash is unpredicted. When I'll come to set, I'll show you how they get internally mapped. All that I'll explain. Now you can just remember it is unpredicted. We don't know how the elements will get saved. Okay, but it is also collection of distinct element. It is mutable, means you can change it, but the order is not maintained. Order is not preserved. Getting? And as it resembles mathematical set. Getting? So in mathematics we have set, the same mathematical set in Python terminology. So we are trying to represent mathematical set in this programming model. So the definition of mathematical set is it is collection of distinct element. Here also it is same thing. Means you cannot have a repeated value in set, which you can have in list and tuple. List tuple doesn't have such a restriction, whereas in set all the elements are distinct. The collection of distinct elements. Okay, but the order is unpredicted. Okay, how it is, I'll be explaining, don't worry. When we'll come to all these data structures one by one. Then we'll be discussing about dictionary. Dictionary, you can say it's a collection of key value pairs. Means it's a mapping of key to value. And the keys are distinct. Values can be anything and repeated also doesn't matter. Keys are distinct. And every value is mapped with a key. So it's a mapping of key value. Okay, so therefore it's called as a dictionary. Dictionary resembles to our word dictionary. Like in words dictionary also, word is the key and the value is the meaning of that word, isn't it? Like in our normal Oxford dictionary, if you consider, so in that also it is a mapping of key to the meaning. My key is the word and the meaning is the meaning of that is the value. Okay, so dictionary is mapping of key to value pair. Keys are distinct. Then we are again going to focus on string. String as a data type we have seen in chapter 1. Now we'll be focusing more in detail about its methods and built-in functions. There are some built-in functions given and some methods are there of class string. So what are they? Many are there, like case conversions, like uppercase, lowercase, then title case. Then you have to toggle the case, like, or you want to do some checking whether the string contains only number or whether it's a valid identifier. Then for searching, if you want to search one string inside another. So abundant of methods are given. We'll be learning all that in detail in this chapter. So sequence of characters. You know now basic definition of string. String is a sequence of characters, and then you can access them character by character. You can access it, and then you can do some operations on the string. And last topic which we are going to discuss in this chapter is regular expression. Regular expression is very, very useful. Practical application is too much of regular expression. When we'll come to topic regular expression, we'll give you applications where regular expression will be used. So it is basically for pattern matching. You can say it's a string which represents some pattern, and then that pattern you will match with your strings. So those strings which follow that pattern, it will give true, and those strings which don't follow that pattern, it will return false. So for pattern matching generally we use, like you want to match the pattern of credit card number, pattern of email, or pattern of phone number. Many are there. So you have to build a pattern as a string, and then that pattern you will match with different strings. Okay? So those strings which follow that pattern you will get true, otherwise false. So what all applications of RER will be learning it. So it is basically for pattern matching. Getting? So this is just the outline of this entire chapter. All these data structures one by one. Lot of methods are given for each data structure. Every one we will cover. Okay, as much as possible. Any additional, if possible, from my side, that too I'll tell you. Okay, so I hope the overview you might have got it of the entire chapter. Okay, to study these different data structures. Okay, yes guys, so just keep giving me confirmation.
Yep.
Okay, now we will focus on list first. Each data structure it will take time to cover. Why? Because we have to see all the methods which are provided for these data structure. So now one by one all these will go on covering. Okay? So first one we are going to see, that is list. The feature of list is it is an ordered collection of elements. Okay, now elements need not be of same type. That is only the difference between a list and an array. This is similar concept as collection framework. If you have studied in Java, like those who know Java, they might have studied collection framework in Java. There is a proper hierarchy of classes in which the same things are implemented. Getting there, they have implemented list, then there is set, then map, then in map implementation only has set, hash table, linked hash set, tree set, so many other. Java collection framework is massive, means it's so huge. So similar concept Python has provided. Okay? So list is ordered collection of elements. Okay, now that elements need not be of same type, they can be any dissimilar type, but it's a collection of elements, right? And as I'm mentioning, it is ordered, means you can access them on the basis of index. You can give the index, and on the basis of index you can access these elements. Getting? So that is the basic peculiarity. So as I said, a list is an ordered collection of elements, and it is mutable. Mutable means changeable. Like you can insert some elements, you can append element, you can delete some element, all facilities given. So therefore I am mentioning here that it is a collection which is ordered and changeable. Changeable, why? Because it is mutable. They have allowed you to do modifications in it. Okay? Then quickly we'll see how to create a list. Then we will be seeing how to access elements of list. Lot of things we have to discuss. To cover list only, it is going to take time. Okay, see. So how to create a list? Very simple. You can create a list object, and in square bracket, okay, you list out all your elements separated by comma. Okay, so I'm writing Ram, suppose I'm writing Sita, I'm writing 4500.67, then in between again I'm writing Lakshman, then 45, 43, in between true. Okay, I hope you got it. Enter. The moment you say enter, the list is created. Means it has just that simple. Python has done. Python has done the work easier. They are trying to make the programmer's life easier by keeping lot of things abstract. They are saying lot of things we will do it. We are making your work easier. Getting? Now you can directly print and see your list. Print L. The list is printed. Ideally here one magic method is called. I hope that too I have told you in the chapter 1. When you say print L, this whole list get printed. But in reality there is one magic method called. And I hope you know what are magic methods. Magic methods means methods which are called implicitly. Methods which are called implicitly. We don't call them explicitly using dot operator. Getting? And in Python, how do you recognize it's a magic method? So all magic methods in Python are dunder method. Dunder means 2 double underscore beginning and 2 double underscore at the end. So here also there is one dunder method, that is double underscore str. Double underscore str double underscore. This is a magic method. Means here also in reality when we have written print L, here actually L has invoked this magic method. Then that magic method returns this string representing all the elements in that list. It returns one string representing all the elements, and then that string which that dunder method return, print displays it on the monitor. You understanding? Clear? Here also you'll get the same output. This proves that here actually what is called, when we write print L, here implicitly this dunder method is called. And remember, all dunder methods are magic method according to Python convention. Python follows a convention. Python says every dunder methods are magic method. And magic method means methods which we don't have to call explicitly. They get called implicitly. Getting? Okay? I hope you got it. And if you want to check its type, you can check type L. See, it will display it is an object of class list. Class list. This again proves that it is a object. And I hope now, till now, I have tried to convince many times to you people that in Python everything is ultimately an object. And if it's an object, it belongs to some class. Getting? So this L represents a list. So obviously it is an object of class list. Okay? So till here, I hope it is clear to you. Then, as I mentioned already, how to create a list. Just write all your elements, means list out all your elements separated by comma in a pair of square bracket. So in square bracket, you list out all the elements separated by comma. That's all, and the list is created. Doesn't it make work easy? That easy Python, Java also doesn't give. Like in Java, you have to first create an object, means first you have to create an instance of linked list, list L equal to new linked list, then you'll add elements in it by calling add method, ll.add, and then you'll add the elements in it. So here they have done so easy, just list out. See, so here I've written gods equal to, and then I've listed out the names of all the Indian Hindu gods, and in square I've listed out their elements. Print gods when I'm writing, it will display this list, and when I'm writing type gods, it will give class, it will give in the bracket class list. This proves that it's an object of class list. Okay, here the list is printed, and here it gives class list. Okay, and this list actually who has printed, I told you this printing is happened because here what is got called dot double underscore str double, here one magic method is called, and then that magic method returns a string representing these elements, and that string print displays on the monitor. Getting? Okay, so I hope you got it. Right? Now next we are going to move to how to access elements from the list. Okay, accessing list items. Okay, now how to access list items, so that I'll tell you. Now already in the definition we have mentioned that list is an ordered collection of elements or ordered collection of items. So when it is ordered, meaning you can access the items based on the index, position number, means every element is having a position. See, in this list, Ram is having a position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So every element is having a position. So from left, if you consider, the position is 0, starting from 0. You can give positions from right side also in negative manner, but that time it is -1. So Bharat will be -1, -2, -3, this way. Okay, so how to access elements of your list? Write your list object, square bracket, and give the index. Getting? So suppose I give 3. See, 0, 1, 2, 3. So at third place Lakshman is there, it will return Lakshman. You can even access by giving negative index also. Like suppose I give -1, -2. Okay, so it will return Ankush. What I want to say is clear to you. When you are accessing the elements from left direction, index start from 0. Okay, index start from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. But if you are trying to access from right direction, so you have to give negative index, and negative index start from -1. Okay, hope it is clear. Suppose you give index which is not within the limit, something 25 I give. Okay, so it is not within the limit. So like Java, as Java is a robust language, it throws an exception. Like in Java, if you are accessing any element without beyond the limit of that array, so it throws array, index, out of bounds, exception. Same thing if you try to do in C. So modern C compilers, they throw an segmentation fault. In Python also, Python is also a robust system. It will generate again an exception called index error. See, it generates a index error. List index out of range. Index error is also a class, remember, in Python. Okay, and it is throwing an object of that class, indicating this is the problem. So when we'll come to exception handling chapter, there we'll see all these types of exceptions. So index error occurred, why? Because you are trying to access beyond the limit. Okay, so hope Now you got to know how to access elements from the list. Sure, if you want to access elements from the list, very simple, just you have to write list object and in the square bracket give index. From left direction indexes start from 0, from right direction negative -1. Okay, till here I hope you got it. Now something more I'm going to tell you, that's why I'm asking you. So till here it is clear to you. Now suppose if you want the part of the list, some sub list you want, it won't get deleted, only the copy of that sub list you want. Sub list means you got it, no? Like some part of your list. Getting? So it is not going to delete it, it will just return the copy of that sub list. Okay, so Python has given that provision also, you can extract some part of the list, and for that you have to use one slice operator. Colon is acting as a slice operator. See, list object square bracket give the start index colon and then the end index. Okay, colon is acting as a slice operator. It is slicing means you got, no? Getting the part of something, right? If a cake is kept, birthday party, so you take a slice from it. So in that it depends on how much size you want, isn't it? So some health conscious people will take a very thin slice from it. Some those who are not bothered about their health, so they take a big piece. So when we are extracting some part of it, so we call it as a slice. So who is making a slice from your list? Colon. You give a start index and you give end index. End index is exclusive. Remember, end index is exclusive. Exclusive means it is not considered. Okay, it is not considered. It is just before it. Okay, so that too I'll tell you. See, if I write now print L, now this is your original list, and I'm writing print L 2:5 suppose. So it will give you the part of the list, which is again a list only, from 2 to 5, but 5 exclusive. Okay, see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, but 5 is exclusive, so it will just stop before 5. So this list is returned. See, okay, I'm first explaining all the combinations and then we will go to the slides part and again we'll discuss on it, but please understand this. So if you want part of the list, start index colon end index. Now here any one is optional. Like if you skip start and only give end, so it will start from 0 by default and stop at 5, but 5 exclusive. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so till 45. Getting? See, from 0 till 45, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is exclusive. Vice versa, you can give start but you are skipping end. Like I'm giving start but I'm not giving end, so it will start from that start index and go till the end of the list. So 0, 1, 2, from here it will start, that is second index, till the end of the list. Clear? Okay, see, understanding? So start index, end index, start skipped, end skipped. Now here you can give negative also. Getting? Like suppose I'm writing -6 colon -2. So it will start from -6, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. So start from -6 and stop at -2. But -2 is exclusive. I hope you know. Yes or no guys? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. And it will stop at -2. This is -2, but -2 is exclusive. So only this much part it will return. See, Lakshman 45, 43, true. Getting? So this way also it is possible. Okay? And only one last part quickly I'll tell you, and then we will discuss all these combinations on the slide part. Next is even you can give the step value also. Like you want the elements from the list, but not in a continuous manner at a fixed interval. Suppose like you want every alternate element, like every alternate from Ram or from Sita, every alternate, or every second alternate, like every after every gap of 2 I want. Getting? Like Ram, then Lakshman, then true. Clear? So that provision also they have given. So in that context you have to write start index, end index, and then the step value you have to give. Clear? Start index, end index, and the step. So it will start from start. Okay? It will start from start index, and from there after every step gap, means it will keep adding this step in that start. Okay, it will keep adding that, and after every that much step the elements it returns, and obviously it will stop at end. End is exclusive. Okay, see here, if I write I'm giving 2 colon 8 suppose colon 2. Okay, so it's going to start from 2, stop at end at a gap of 2. So this is your original list: 0 1 2, okay, 3 4 5 6 7 8 is exclusive. Okay, now from this it will return at a step of 2. Getting? So it will start with 4500 first, then 45, then true. Okay, at a step of 2 I am saying, no? So 4500, 45, then true, and after that no element. Getting? So only those elements it will return: 1 2 and 3. These 3 elements it is going to return. Getting? Step also you can give negative, is possible. Suppose if I give, like I'm not giving start and end, so will it consider entire list? Whereas see, in the one case when I wrote colon 5, so it by default started from 0. When I wrote 2 colon, so by default it went till the end. So when I don't write anything, so will it start from 0 till end? Will it consider the entire list? Yes. Okay. And suppose step I gave -1. So when I give step -1, so it will take at a gap of -1 step. So it will start from Bharat, then Ankush, then true, then 45, then 43, then 45. That way. So in short, you will see a reverse list. See, because the step given is -1. If the step you give -2, so in the reverse direction at a gap of 2, like first it will take Bharat, then true, then 45, then 4000, then Ram. Getting? See, Bharat, then true, then 45, then 4000 this thing, and then Ram. So in short, you got it, what I want to say. So these are all different combinations by which you can access elements from the list. Okay? So please give me confirmation if all the possibilities are clear to you guys.
Yes.
Okay? So that we will be seeing. Okay?
Hello.
Huh?
Sir, in the example, you are mentioning list in the bracket 2 comma 5. But the fifth element is 43, na?
Indexing, like you want to say from where, in which example, here.
Second.
Yes,
Third.
clear. So fifth is exclusive, na, as I said.
Okay.
I mentioned also, I guess. Now I did. But again and again, I'm trying to tell you, okay, it is start, end, okay. But I guess I have told you, if I've not mistaken, I've clarified that end is getting. I wrote also, I guess here, end is exclusive, means end is not considered, and the same thing I'm being using everywhere. Wherever I'm using end is never inclusive, end is exclusive. So 0, 1, 2, okay, 3, 4 and 5, but 5 is exclusive, so it will just stop before 5. Only these values come. Getting? Everywhere, like This is one example. Here also you see colon 5 when I wrote. So by default it start from 0 and stop at 5, but 5 exclusive. Getting? No? So see 45, it has stopped at 45 because 5 is 43. Getting? Even for negative also see -6 to -2. So -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. This is -6 and Ankush is -2, but it will stop just before -2 because -2 is exclusive. So before -2, that's what we got here. See. Getting? So I hope it is clear. Quickly we'll go on to the slides part. Many more things about list we have to learn. So access the list items. If you want to access one by one elements of the list, that is items of the list. So you access it by mentioning the list object and then in the square bracket mention the index. Okay. So access list item by referring list followed by index number in square bracket. Okay. I hope you got it. Note that the index start from 0. Like from left side if you consider, the index starts from 0. From right side if you consider, index starts with -1. Okay. Example I've given, I've created a list of colors. I'm writing colors of 1. So who is at one place? Blue. Blue will get printed. Okay. Now if you are trying to access beyond the limit, so you know that it throws index error. Okay. And negative indexing is also possible, that you know now. So negative index start from right end. So from the right end when we give index, it starts with -1, -2, -3. So -1 refers to the last item, -2 refers to second last, and so on. See the same example. If I'm writing colors of -1, it will take green. Okay. Then we can also give a range of indexes. Like if you want a part of a list, some sub part of the list, which is again a list only, that will be also a list object only. So you can specify range of indexes by giving start, end. Here also I have clarified end is exclusive, and that start and end you have to separate by a slice operator called colon. Okay. And it is going to return you a list which is a copy list from that start till end. So the return value will be a new list with the specified item. It's not going to delete it from the original list. Okay. Like see, colors equal to, these are the few colors I have written, and colors 2:5. So 0, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 and 5 is exclusive. So green, blue and green, black and white will only come. Getting? As a sub list. It is also a list object. Okay. So I hope you got it. By leaving out the start index, the range will start at 0. If you skip start, so it will start from 0. If you skip end, so it will go till the end of the list. Okay. See, colors 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and this is 4. So 4 is exclusive. So only this much: red, blue, green, black. Okay. End also you can skip. By leaving out end index, the range will go till the end of the list. Like the same thing, colors 2:, end I have not written. So it will start from 2, 0, 1, 2. So it will start from green till the end of the list. Getting? The whole list come. Right? And specify negative indexes if you want to start the search from the end. So in case of range also you can give negative index. Like see, -4:, -1. So -4 will be -1, -2, -3, -4. That is black. And -1 is yellow. So it will stop before yellow. So it will give black, white and pink. Getting? And same way you can give step value also, that I have not mentioned on the slide, but I hope you should know it. Clear? It is quite simple. Okay. The concept of step also. So start, end, step. So it will give you all the elements from start till end at a gap of step. Okay. And there also end is exclusive. Okay. Okay. So till here you got the concept, accessing elements of the list.
Yes.
Sure, okay. Lot to learn, because what will happen is at the end of this chapter, lot of similar data structures come. So you may get confused with list and a tuple and a dictionary. So proper clarification. List, then when we'll go to tuple, you should be able to differentiate. Okay, because some methods are not applicable for tuple. So understand properly. And here we don't have to do any implementation. Already the ready classes are there. We just have to create object and then we have to use their methods. Okay. Now next is change list item value. So if you want to change any item value, just write list object square bracket index equal to value. Okay. So you already have a list object. Okay. So you will just write list object square bracket index equal to value. So it will replace the old value by this new value at that index. Okay. Here also index positive negative allowed. But if you are trying to go beyond the limit, here also it will throw an exception. Which exception? Index error. Try to relate. If you know already Java, so you can match it very well. There also exceptions are thrown, but there the class names are all having exception word at the end. Array index out of bound exception, class cast exception, number format exception, file not found exception. Here the word are error, file not found error, index error, value error, type error. Okay, but they are also classes. Here also all these error classes have a hierarchy, a complete inheritance they follow. Okay, we'll be learning when we'll come to chapter 6, that is exception handling. So how to modify element? Just write list square bracket index equal to value. That simple it is. Clear? Like same list you can take, or for ease I'll take another list 10, 20, 30 and 40 suppose, and I'm writing L of 0 equal to 100. Okay. Now if you print and see your list, the 0th value, which is 10, is replaced by 100. Clear? That's simple. But again here, if you are going beyond the limit 0, 1, 2, 3, and suppose if I write 5 equal to 200, it will give a error. Again, which exception is thrown? Index error, list assignment index out of range. Okay, because your list is currently containing only 0, 1, 2, 3. So 4 and 5, that index are not there only. It gives a error. Okay, so that's simple. So to change the value of a specific item, use the following syntax. Your list object square bracket index equal to value. Okay, as an example I've given, this is your colors list. I'm writing colors of 0 equal to white. So in place of red, white will get replaced. And when I print colors, it will now show white, blue, green. Okay, hope the concept is clear, right? Then traversing the list. Traversing means going through each and every element of the list. Like I want to retrieve one by one because I want to do some processing on each element of the list. So I'm having a list and I want to go through the list one by one. Getting? So Python is having already the natural behavior that the for loop of Python is specially meant for traversing such iterable object, and list is a iterable object. Does list come under iterable category? It is a iterable object. So as it's a iterable category, you can traverse it using a for loop, because I hope you know that that is the speciality of Python for loop. Python for loops can be used only and only on iterable object. See, for temp in iterable object colon. So here what happens is, after every iteration, one element from that iterable object is copied in temp. Next time next element is copied, next time next element is copied, and when there are no more elements to traverse, the loop will stop. Actually here also one magic method is called, means again one dunder method called underscore underscore next underscore underscore. and that dunder method keeps returning you, giving you the next value in the iterable, and then that value comes in temp. But we are not going into detail. Just remember, here we have to use iterable object. Okay? So the strict rule is for loop are applied only on iterable or sequence object. So list is not an excuse, because list comes under which category? Iterable category. So suppose this is your list. Okay, and I'm traversing for x in L. So L is a iterable object, that is list object, and x is a temporary variable. And then I'm printing that x. Here I'm just printing. If you want to do some processing, it's up to you. Okay? Enter. So is it displaying each and every element of your list one by one? So in reality, what is happening? From that L, one element is copied in x for each iteration. So first time Ram will come in x, next time Sita will come in x, next time 4500.67. This will go on, and when there are no more elements to retrieve, for loop will stop. Clear? So that easy it is to traverse a list. Okay, so you can loop through the list items by using a for loop. Example, this is your colors list. I'm writing for x in colors, print x. So one by one color value will it copy in x. First time red will be copied, then blue will be copied, then green will be copied, and that value is getting printed. Okay, red, blue, green. Right? Hope it is clear. Then coming to the next thing, like if you want to check whether any item is present in the list or not, so there is already an in operator provided by Python. Chapter 1, I hope again that too, if you remember in chapter 1 when we took operators, in that one operator, that is membership operator, that is in operator we have seen. Okay, so the rule of in operator is element in iterable object. Here also it's applicable for iterable or sequence object, like string. String is also allowed because string is also a sequence object. It is sequence of characters. So element in iterable object. So if your element is present in this iterable object, it will return true, and if it is absent, it will return false. That simple the work is. So print Ram in L. So is Ram present in L? Yes, so it will give true. But if I write print, suppose I'm writing 45 in L. Yes, 45 is present in L, true. Okay, but suppose I write Ramesh in L, which is not present, it will return false. See, again here Python is doing your work easy. Same thing in C. If you're told to find out whether the element is present in an array or not, it was not that simple. You have written some searching algorithms. I'm sure you have learned some search algorithms like sequential search, then binary search, then Fibonacci search, and so many search techniques are there. Getting sentinel search methods and all. Abundant searching technique. So you will write an algorithm. You'll go traversing each element, and then you'll compare your value with x. If it is matching, then you'll return true. And if you traverse the whole list and nowhere matched, then you'll return false. So you'll write a logic. Your logic writing work, Python has reduced it by providing you with this in operator. So it is just checking whether Ramesh is in L. Yes, so true, otherwise false. Okay, so hope that too is clear to you. So to determine if a specified item is present in a list, use in keyword. Okay, so using in is an operator. According to Python, in is called as a membership operator. Okay, see, so colors equal to, this is a list of colors, red, blue, green. Then I'm writing print blue in colors. Is blue present in colors? Yes, therefore the answer come true. You are checking pink in colors, pink is absent, therefore the answer come false. Okay? Okay, I hope you are clear with this. Next, now we have to learn lot of built-in functions and list methods. There is a difference between both. Methods means to invoke it, you need to have a list object. Means these methods will be invoked via list object. L dot and then you'll do it. Means you'll create a list object. Okay. And then when you're accessing it, those methods, you need to have an object associated with it. L dot and then any of these methods you'll access. Getting count, copy, clear, append, all one by one we are going to learn, don't worry. But I mean to say what? That methods are invoked via dot and then if it needs any arguments you can pass it. So methods means functions within a class. Those functions which are inside a class, they are method, and therefore to access those functions you need an object of that class. Okay, and built-in functions means those which are not to be invoked via object using a dot operator. Okay, so they are given directly by Python, which gets loaded in the super global space, that is built-in space. They may be present in some module or library, but basically we are talking about built-in means those functions which get loaded in some super global memory. I hope you remember that too. 4 scope, local scope, enclosing scope, global scope, and then built-in scope. So those are the functions which get loaded in that shared memory called as a super global space at the time of starting this environment, and then all scripts can use those functions from that super global scope. They are called as built-in function. Okay, so now again I will not tell you what is built-in function, because this was just the topic in the previous chapter also at the end. In previous chapter the last topic was that too, that only, there is built-in function. Okay, so now few methods will be learning one by one of list class, and in between only some built-in functions also will come of class list. First in that we are going to learn, that is append. Okay, so list object dot append, and you have to pass element. That element can be anything. That element can be a integer or a float or a boolean or a string, okay, or a complex number, or it can be a list also, or it can be a tuple also. But if you are passing a list or a tuple, it will treat that whole list as one element, that tuple as one element. So it will add that tuple or that list as one element in the list. It will not consider the elements of that tuple or elements of that list. It will simply treat that whole tuple as one element and put it in your list. But at the end, because the behavior of append is that only, the meaning of append is always attaching at the end. Okay, see, so I'll create one list. Suppose I'm creating, now I'll take a simple 10, 20, 30 number list, and L dot add, append, and I'm writing 40. So I'm appending one integer. L dot append, I'm appending one string. L dot append, and then again one list I'm taking 4, 5, 6. But that 4, 5, 6 list is treated as one element. It will not take these elements 4, 5, 6. Individual elements of that list it won't take. It will take this whole list as one element, and this complete list only is added in L. See, L dot append, and if you are appending a tuple 10, 20, so it will treat that whole tuple as one object, this list as one object, and this whole tuple only it will add in the list. Getting? So hope you got it. Now if I print this list, you'll see all these values appended. Like at the end of 30, 40 is appended, then RAM is appended, then this whole list is appended as one element, this whole tuple is appended as one element. It will treat this whole tuple as one element. this whole list as one element. Getting? So that working is clear. Then like append, we have insert and extend. These are the three methods, but there is a difference. Okay. Now insert will insert an element at the given position. Append will always append at the end. Okay. See, it is used to add element to the last position of list. This element, whatever element you are passing, will be added at the last position in the list. So whatever elements are there in the list will remain, and this new will be getting at the end. Okay. Just as an example, this is a list of fruits. I am writing fruits dot append mango. Mango will get added at the end after orange, and when you print and see fruits, you'll see apple, orange, and that mango is added at the end. Okay, but please remember, the element can be anything. The element which you want to add at the end of the list, that element itself can be a list. You understanding? Means that element can be integer, a float, a boolean, string, anything. Okay, it itself can be a tuple, it can be a list, but anything you pass, it is treated as one element. Whatever you pass, it is considered as one element, and that element is put at the end of list. Right? I hope it is clear. Then we'll be learning about insert method. Okay, see the speciality of insert. Insert also takes an element. Here also the element can be anything. Anything it can be. Any type of object it can be. Okay, and the position. Here only the specialities. Here you have a choice of putting the element in your list at the given position. Okay, so whoever is there at that position will get shifted ahead, and at that position your element will go. Getting? So as an example, suppose in this list only. Now this is your list. I am writing L dot insert position 0, 1, 2, 2 I'll take, and suppose here I am writing Sita. So Sita will get inserted at second position. So who is at second position? 0, 1, 2. So 30. So at 30 Sita will come. So whoever was at that second position, and after that they all are shifted ahead. Getting? See. And print L. See. At second position, who comes? Sita. Right? I hope you got it. Okay. Not only that, you can insert, like suppose at fourth place, I'm inserting another list of 7, 8, 9. Now it will consider this whole list as one element. Remember, it is not going to consider the elements inside it. It will treat this whole thing as one element, and it will insert at fourth place. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at fourth place 40 is there. So that place this whole list will come, and they all will get shifted ahead. Getting? See. Can you see? At fourth place 40 was there. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So at fourth place this list has come, and everything is shifted ahead. Here this position which you have given can be negative also. Accordingly it will insert. Like if I write L dot insert -2, and here suppose Lakshman I am writing. So who is at -2 position? This is -1. This whole is one element. So -1, -2. So -2, this whole list is there. Here Lakshman will come, and that will get shifted ahead. Getting? Print N. See. At second position from right side, -1, -2. So at that place Lakshman has come, and it is shifted ahead. Is the concept clear to you about insert? Okay? So inserts an element at the specified position in this list. You give the position and the element. So this list means you got the one which is invoking. Okay, the list object which is invoking that insert. So in that list object, at the given position, this element will get inserted. Just quick example will take fruits, apple, orange. Fruits dot insert 1 comma mango. Who is at one place? Orange. 0th place is apple, one place is orange. So at that place mango will come and that orange will get shifted ahead. If you print and see, at one place mango has come, and whoever is at one place and after it, they all are shifted ahead. Clear? Is it right till here? Till here, if it is clear to you guys, please give me confirmation so
Yes,
that
please.
some more
Yes, sir.
method. Okay, very good. Now, many more methods are there. All that we are going to learn. Getting just now we have considered very few. Very few means only two. Ideally two only. Before that, we just saw how to traverse, how to change, how to extract elements, how to create a list. Actual methods. So we started from that append. So likewise, there are many more to be discussed. Okay. Now next is extend. Now to extend the argument which you are going to pass is strictly an iterable. Not necessarily it's a list. Here I took list. Why? Because we are talking with context to list. But here you can pass but any iterable. Okay. You cannot pass a scalar element. Like you cannot give string or float or integer or complex, getting, or boolean. That thing cannot be passed. Means a scalar value cannot be given. Here you strictly have to give an iterable. Now what it does is the elements of this list 1 it will add in list. It will not add the list 1 only. Instead of extend, if it is append or if it is insert, so it will consider this whole thing as one element and it will add that one element. Here it will add the elements of list 1 in list. I'm sure you are able to interpret what I'm trying to tell. Clear? It will not add this whole list 1 only in list as one element. It will take the elements of list 1, whatever elements are there in list 1, those individual elements it will add in list. Getting? So list will contain now how many elements? As many are present in list 1. Okay, see. There is a difference between append and list. For your reference, for your convenience, what I'll do, I'll take another list again. Okay? I'll try to tell you the difference between append and between extend. See. L dot append and then square I'm passing 3, 4, 5. So it will consider this whole thing as one element and add that list. See, you print and see. Has it added that one complete list only as one element? But now if I write extend and give a list 7, 8, 9, it will not add this whole list as one element. Rather, it will take the elements of this list, that is 7, 8, 9. So it will add 7 separately, adds 8 separately, add 9 separately. Okay. Now if you see the list, you'll see 7, 8, 9. So means the elements of this list, it adds individual element. Like add 7, add 8, add 9. Is it clear to you?
Yes.
The difference between
Yes,
the
sir.
extend and append. Okay. Especially you'll come to know this difference when you're passing a element which is itself a iterable. So to append you can pass any type of element, but to extend you have to pass a iterable. See, if I write x 10 and I give 4.5, it gives an error. And in that error also it is properly clarifying कि float object is not iterable. Getting? So to extend what you have to pass an iterable. For append, you can pass anything. To append, you can pass any type of object. Okay. Okay. See, adds elements of list 1 to list. That simple way you can remember. Add elements of list 1 to list. It's not necessarily list only, it can be a tuple also. L dot extend and you're passing a tuple. Okay, containing 11, 22, 33. That is also possible. Print L when I do, at the end of L, you will not see that whole tuple as one element. You will see 3 elements of L. 11, 22, 33. See. Are you able to see 11, 22 as 3 separate elements? Okay. So any iterable you can give, but here in context of list, I have given list. But it is not hard and fast rule. This can be what? Any type of iterable. But it should be a iterable object. Quickly taking an example, if this is A original list, B is another list, I am writing A dot extend B, so it will add 2 elements of B in A. So there are 2 elements of B, 40 and 50, that will get added at the end of A. So 40, 50. Okay? So these 2 elements will get added at the end of A. If you print and see A, you will see this. Okay? Hope it is clear. Right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now coming to some built-in functions. Now these were some methods, like 3 methods which we saw: append, insert and extend. They were 3 methods. There are some built-in functions also which can be applied on list. So one from that is sum. So what sum will do is, it will return the summation of all the elements in the list. But the list need to have all numerical values. Numerical means it can be numerical category, like it can be integer, it can be float, okay, it can be boolean also, okay. So it just gives you the total of your list, like L equal to. But suppose if you give it for string, so what happens, that too I'll tell you. Like 10 is there, then true is there, then 4.5 is there, then suppose 20. And I'm writing print sum of L. Okay, print sum of L. So 10 and 20, 30, 34.5 and 1, 35.5. Get it? So it displays 35.5. But suppose your list contains some strings also. Okay, and if you are writing sum of L, it throws an exception. That's the reason purposely I wanted to show you. Why it throws an exception? Because you cannot take the summation of a string and an integer. I hope that is the natural feature of Python. Python says you can do concatenation of one string with another string. One string and one integer is not possible, which is possible in Java-like language, or which is possible in JavaScript also. Okay, here it's not possible. You cannot take direct addition of integer and a string. Okay, you have to convert the string to integer. So you got it, right? L equal to, we'll just see the complex numbers. Okay, it is a list of complex numbers, and print sum of L. Getting? So is it returning you the summation of all the complex numbers, like 4 plus 6, 10, 17 and 5, 22. Real part added. Then imaginary part, 5 plus 2, 7, 7 minus 5 is 2. Okay, so all numbers valid for sum means whenever you are taking sum, all numbers are valid. So numbers means complex numbers, then boolean, then integer, your float, all valid. Okay, if all are strings, then also we'll check. See, Ram, Sita, Lakshman, print sum of L. Okay, now it is internally treating it, it is not valid. In short, it says that you can take summation of only numeric value. Getting the meaning of the sum method is, sum function is, you can take summation of only and only numeric, not numeric, numbers, in which complex numbers also allowed, booleans also allowed, int allowed, float allowed, but other not allowed. Okay, calculate sum of all the elements of the list. Whatever your list is, all the elements in that list, it's summation. See, a equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, print sum of a, it will return 100. Okay, but this another list in which there is one string also, 10, the 30. Now it is going to throw an exception. Will it throw this exception, type error? Okay, unsupported operand for plus, int and str. Will it give type error? It has to give type error because 10 is a number and the is a string, and between 10 and the addition cannot take place according to Java rule. So unsupported operand type for plus, int and str. Okay, so till here it is clear, I hope. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes, sir.
keep all the things in your brain, keep recording, and as we'll go on moving ahead, more and more things are going to get added in your knowledge. So as you go on moving ahead, don't please confuse with the past thing. Keep that concepts clear with you. Coming to few more method now. Now this again is a method. It will just count how many times the element is occurring in your list. Getting? So it will return you the number of occurrences of element in the list. Very simple. This is generally to be used when the elements are repeated, like 10, then 45, then 10, then 6, then 10, then 45. Okay. And then I'm writing print L dot count 45, suppose. So it will display 45 how many times. If I write 10, it will display how many times 10 is present. But if I give 11, which is absent, so it will give 0. Okay? Because 11 is not present, so the count is 0. That simple function. So means nearly for everything they have developed function. You don't have to write your logic for doing all this work. But I'm sure in C, you might have written functions, you might have written code for this. Like write a C function to accept an array and an element, and the function should return how many times that element is present in the array. I'm sure such program in C, 100%, nearly everyone might have written this. Okay, write a C function which takes input as an array and an element, and the function should return how many times that element occur in that array. Here ready method is there which is doing that work for you. Okay, see, a equal to, and this is a list of element which are frequently occurring. I'm writing a dot count 1, to count 1 is 4. Okay, if I write a dot count 100, 100 is not present, it will return 0. Again, one built-in function is there. This is a built-in function, length, that is len. This will return you the number of elements in the list. How many elements are present in the list, that count it will return. So if your list contains one list or a tuple, so it will not count the number of elements inside it. It will just treat that whole thing as one list. Getting? 10, 4, 5, 6 is one tuple. 20, again one list is there, 7, 9. Okay, 30. And when I say print len of L, it will give 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So how many elements are present? This is a tuple, this is a list. So it is going to consider this whole tuple as one element, this whole list as one element. Getting? So length is clear. So returns number of elements in list. A equal to 10, 20, 30, length of A is 4. Okay. Then coming to some search methods. Okay. These are some searching methods which we'll be discussing. Index is the search method. Name of that search method is index. Then which element you want to search, that you pass. Okay. So it will check the first occurrence of that element in your list, and if found, it returns you the position where it is found. Okay. Position it will do counting from left only, that is from 0. So it will search the element in the list. Who does the searching? This index function searches the element in the list. If found, it will return the position where it is found. Otherwise, it will throw an exception. And suppose you want to do searching not in the entire list, in some part of the list. You want to search the element, but in some part of the list. Then you have to give this start and end. Again, in that like if start but not giving end, so it will go till the end of the list. Okay, the rule So suppose if you want to search any element in some particular range, then you can give this. If you want to search in the entire list, no need to give it. When you don't give it, it will consider the whole list only. Okay? So see, index function will return the index. Index means the position. Always remember. So returns the position of first occurrence of element in list. Okay? And that range starts from start till end. Start and end index are optional. Okay? So if you don't want to give start end, it will consider the entire list. Right? Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Now an example I'll show you. Suppose what we'll do, we'll give some elements which will be repeating also. Like I'm writing 5, then 6, then suppose 7, then again 6, then 8, then 5, then 8, then 6. Okay, print L dot index, and suppose I'm giving search as 8. Okay, so it will search 8 first occurrence. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 found at 4th place. Suppose I am giving 80, which is absent, it will throw an exception. Value error, 80 is not in the list. When you give an element and that element is absent, it throws value error, that it is not in the list. Okay, and suppose I am searching 8 only. Okay, and if I give start position as 5, so it is going to search the occurrence of 8 from 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and from here onwards, it's going to search the occurrence of 8. So from here, the occurrence of 8 is present at 6th position. So will it return that position 6? Clear? Here 8 is searched starting from the start position. Here 8 is starting from by default 0. Searching of that 8. Okay, that is the difference. See, as an example, A equal to, this is the list, A dot index 1. So 1 is present at 0th place only, so it will give 0. I'm searching index 10. 10 is not there in the list. So it will throw an exception, value error, that is 10 not found. Okay? See, value error 10 is not in the list. Clear? I hope it is clear to you. Then quickly few more methods. So till here it is clear, guys. Please give me the confirmation.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Index. I hope you are clear with it. And
Yes,
that
sir.
element which is to be searched, that is okay. But that start effect, you got it, no? If I give start, so it will search that element from that index. And if you don't give, so it will search from 0th place. So I showed you the difference. See, here we searched 8. So it searched 8's first occurrence. So 8's first occurrence was here at 4th place. But when I searched 8 starting from 5, getting? So 5th position starts from here. So from here onwards 8 is searched. So which is present at 6th position. So it returns 6. Getting? Then we have another function called min, which will return you the minimum element in your list. Okay, so if it's a numeric list, it will return the minimum value. If it's a alphabetic list, so it will return the list which is with least value alphabetically. Whoever comes first in the alphabetic order, that it will return. Okay, see, L equal to, will take some numbers list, and if I write print min of L, so it will return the minimum value from your list. Okay, suppose we have okay, so this is just the list of strings, and now I am writing print min of L, so it returns the minimum alphabetically who comes first. So I hope Bill come first, therefore Bill comes alphabetically. Now I hope you know it, A B C D E F G. When I alphabetically arrange them, so Bill only will come first. So Bill, then Bob, then Jack, then Ram, then Sham, and then Tim. So minimum, that is returned. Okay, got it? If it's a list of complex numbers, 5 plus 6g, 7 plus 2g, 4 plus 9g, and if you write min of L, it gives a error. Why? Because I hope you know this also. When we took first chapter operators, that time I told you that you cannot perform the relational operations on two complex, like less than, greater than, then greater than equal, less than equal. Maximum you can do equality, inequality. You can just check whether the two are equal or whether they are not equal. But when you want to find out minimum, you have to perform this operation. Therefore it gives error. Getting? And I'm damn sure that this I have told you in chapter 1 in operators. When we took relational operators, that time I clarified, in relational operator you can do comparison between string and string is only valid, between int, boolean and float, any combination valid, and in complex there is no provision. You cannot do comparison between complex. Getting? You can do maximum just equality, inequality. If you check the notes also, in that too I have clarified that between complex number you can only do equality check, inequality check. Okay, so min you got it. Now in min, suppose if you have one more provision, I'll tell you. This is a list of strings and I want to find minimum, but minimum not alphabetic way, lengthwise I want. Min of L, but minimum I want to consider on the length basis, not on the alphabetic order. So here you can give key equal to length as an argument. Getting? That key is an argument, and give the name of the function on the basis of which that minimum is to be done. So it will calculate minimum on the basis of length function. So who is with the minimum length? Tim, first one. Bob is also there, but who is the first one with minimum length? Okay, so it return. No, even Ram is there. Why I went so far? First Ram only is there, no? With 3 length. Getting or no? Clear? So Ram is with the least length. So that is coming. Clear? So key also you can pass. Okay? So many things when I give demonstration, that time I tell you. So please see to it. Everything is not written on a slide. Okay? So afterwards, if you just read the slide and you'll say it will do. So no. Like you can say 90% things are there on the slide, but 10% things which I tell you while explaining you and while giving you demonstration. So all that things also you have to remember. So returns minimum of all the elements of list. Okay. A equal to, this is a list of numbers, minimum of A. Obviously it will return true 2, because in that list who is minimum? 2. Now I don't have to explain it. The same analogy it goes on. Like min is there, so we have max. So it will return you the maximum element in the list. Okay, see, returns maximum of all the elements of the list. Okay, we'll take numbers list, print max of L, it will return the maximum, that is 7. Okay, if you consider alphabetic list and I'm trying to print max of L, okay, so alphabetically who is maximum? Tim, I guess. Okay, and suppose I'm writing print max L and key equal to length I'm giving. Okay, so it will find out maximum on the length basis. So lengthwise who is maximum? There are 3 with 4 length, but the first one it will return, that is Sham. Clear? Hope it is clear to you. See, A equal to 12, that same list I have taken, and max of A is 79. Okay? So till here it is clear to you guys, all of you.
I have one question here. As a list can contains all type of data type, right? So if we have tuples list within that list, so we
If
can
it is like,
can we
if it is a hybrid type,
Mhm.
then it may not give you an valid answer. Correct?
Yes.
It may give you an error. Like if it's an hybrid concept, either it is complete numeric. Now in that combination, like integer, float, boolean, that may allow, like, getting, but in that only if any string come, so you cannot, like, suppose if I write min and L, so it will return 1 because true. Okay? But suppose in this some hybrid thing come, like 4 plus 5j, which is not compatible with these 3, like int, float and boolean. Between them any combination allowed. So boolean and this thing come. Okay, so it may generate an error. See, because one has come complex, so you cannot compare a complex with a boolean or a complex with an integer. So it gives an error. And same concept may happen with string and integers also. Like if L is 10, then A, then B, then 20, then 30, and if you try to find minimum, again error. Why? Because again comparison between a string and an integer is not valid. No? You cannot do comparison between a string and an integer, or an integer and a string. It gives the error. So either they all should be numeric or all string. All should be string or all numeric. Numeric means 3 combinations allowed, like int, float and boolean. That 3 combinations are allowed. The same rule is applicable, no? Like which we have discussed about comparison. when we took comparison operator, that time also I told, like combination of int, float and boolean, any combinations allowed. I guess such graph also on the slide I have shown you. Getting? I don't know whether you read notes or no. Now second chapter notes also I have given, I guess. Now third chapter also I'll mail you. So these combinations are valid, like int, float, int, boolean. Okay, then string and string is valid. Okay, and complex, only two things, equality and inequality is valid. Other things you cannot do, like lesser, greater is not valid between complex. Getting? So that rule only is applicable for finding min and max. Okay.